thing. I had to look those up and see where they sit in the pantheon of classic moments like that. So that was good. That was cool. And then there's a lot of them, but these were the five I like the most, so I put them in there. But yeah, Blazing Saddles has got to be number one because it's just so absurd.
Mm-hmm.
I like the scene from Speed. I watched Speed a lot as a kid. It was a formative film for me. So that's always stuck with me, like the shoot the hostage moment from Speed.
Yeah, I watched that one again recently, and I think it still holds up. It's a great kind of little summer blockbuster type film, but
that's why I love Alan Ruck. Speed and Twister.
The one thing that gets me though is when he kills Hopper at the end. I think he says, "Yeah, well, I'm taller than you now."
They're lying down, so it doesn't matter.
So he's beheaded.
Yeah.
So then now Keanu is taller. Is that what he was saying?
I feel like Keanu is already taller than Dennis Hopper.
Yeah, now I'm much taller.
I don't. That's a weird final line. Like Speed is one of those films that I always forget that there's a whole other act after they get off the bus.
Yeah.
Like the whole train sequence is this. What is this film? This is the exploding bus film. What are we? A train? Okay. This is Speed 2. So I just get, for me the film ends when they play the loop and they escape off the bottom of the bus and everyone's fine. That's the end of Speed.
You could probably end it there.
I do every time.
And also Speed 2 though, it has Willem Dafoe on a jet ski, so that's an automatic. It exists. For me. Yeah.
Jason
Gotta
Patrick
have
is no
that.
Keanu Reeves.
Yeah. And also, I love in this chapter how Shaw is just calling everybody a-holes. Like, Shaw is just running around doing that. But I agree with him, because he wants to know what these a-holes are up to.
They're
and it makes me happy.
They're going to blow it up. What are they doing?
Yeah.
They do not care.
I just love him calling everyone, like, what are these a-holes up to? It makes me happy. And I also think that when Dr. Emma Collins tackles Bahari, like, don't go in the water. That's the way you do it. You don't look at somebody and go, hey, you probably don't want to go in the water. Like, don't tell me what to do. Like, she legit tackles her from going in the water.
A full embrace. There is no escaping that. She is holding her back. Fully.
Like, that's what you do.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no, hey, don't go in the water. And then she's like, I'm going to do it now. So I appreciated the heads up move there of Dr. Emma Collins wiping out Bahari so she didn't jump in the water. And then she just made Shaw go out on a little dinghy, which would have been pulverized by one of the bull sharks.
That would be no match for it. But then he's like doing a nice pose when he's towing the boat back in. He's got a full like sunglasses on in full sunlight. It feels like a pose move where he's looking back at the boat. He knows he's being filmed.
It's great dinghy work.
Yeah.
I will say though that Nandi gets she doesn't really get too much to do in this film.
Bahari. Oh, sorry.
Because when she gets pulled back, she does the kind of shock look, and then her whole role in this chapter is just to look shocked. Because even when she pulls up the fishing net and finds Bahari's arm attached to the net, she gives one of those like stunned looks, and Emma seems to react far more than she does. And then they cut to the next scene when Nanny's in her bed kind of still trying to process it. Everyone's around her. And I realized that this entire chapter, like, your whole entire role was just to look shocked. Don't say much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean...
Don't drink the tea.
Spoiler for this film.
Yep.
Nandi is one of the few survivors of this crew. But she doesn't ever get a lot to do in the film. Of all of the survivors of all the three films, she has the least to do of any of them, I would say. Which is a shame. Because she's just kind of there in the background, not really helping much in most of the scenes. Like, she cooked them the food earlier. She's lost her brother, so she does. It is a good acting moment of the kind of the lip quivering, having just found this detached arm, which is a potential nod to Jurassic Park. I don't know. I see everything as a nod to Jurassic Park.
Or Jaws, right? With the head.
I don't care. Jurassic Park. Jaws. What's Jaws got to do with this film? But yeah, I would have much liked to learn more about this character, her to do more things. Either of those would be great. She's severely underwritten.
She has a good moment at the end, but that's about it. Yeah, it's a very underwritten character. Yeah. I guess they just needed to show that there were people still living at Little Happy and not deserted, so they just wrote them in real quick.
But, I mean, they could give them something to do.
Yeah. Let her blow up a shark. Give her a kitchen fight.
Yeah. That
Or I don't know,
have her take out
church
one
fight.
of the goons.
Mm-hmm.
We'll discuss this more in other chapters, I'm sure.
Yeah, she would definitely have due cause to either take out one of
Yeah.
the bad guys or take out one of the sharks.
Yeah, you killed my brother.
That's a good point. Well, I'm just happy that you brought up Achilleos again, Jay. That makes me very happy.
Well, they bring it up in the film, in the chapter.
Achilleos!
They talk about that. This is the moment where they establish that this is a sequel to Deep Blue Sea 2, where they say Achilleos, run by a billionaire pharmaceutical guy named Carl Durant, the whole place sank and took Durant with it. They don't mention anyone else. Just say it took Durant with it, which it did. I mean, not because it sank. He got eaten by a shark.
Yeah, and he loved it. He loved every second.
Every second. So it shows that no one really knows what happened there. So when Dr. Mr. Calhoun, translator, and Aaron Nero got back, they didn't necessarily tell anyone what happened. They just kind of got back and went into hiding. Or were silenced by the company, who knows?
Oh, that's Deep Blue Sea 4. They got to get rescued by Dr. Emma Collins and the crew. They go get him.
They landed on an island at the end of Deep Rising, and they're still just trying to escape.
That was a question I had. I was going to ask you guys about. So when Spin does his hacking research, I thought in number 2, and again, it's been a while since I watched it, that the facility went down, but not too many people knew of what was going on in that facility. But yet he had a whole lot of information that I couldn't quite figure out where he was pulling it from. Like, if it'd be one thing if it was just like news clippings where, billionaire goes down, but like the way how he was delivering the dialogue, it felt like he was pulling up some intel from somewhere, but I don't know who would have had that level of detail.
When
point.
Misty was approached by Craig at the start of Deep Blue Sea 2, she did some research on Durant as being a pharmaceutical guy, but she didn't come up with anything shark related at that point. So
right, because it was just the Alzheimer thing. Yeah, okay.
And then nothing was in the cloud, so there's not much there to
This
eat.
is true.
Because Durant refused to put anything on the cloud. So all the research blew up with Achilleos!
So maybe it was known that Achilleos was some kind of research facility owned by Durant, which perhaps Misty could have found that. She knew that she was getting on a boat to go somewhere. So that might have been public information, the ownership of it and stuff. And they don't know that it was about shark testing. They just know that's where Bella's tracker started. So maybe the location of Achilleos was known. Spin found where Bella started, and he looked up, what's at this exact location point? Oh, that's where Achilleos used to be. And what was in the news was that Achilleos sank. Mm-hmm. So they're piecing it together that there was some pharmaceutical guy, he had this facility out in the water that sank, sharks came from there, maybe he was experimenting with those pharmaceuticals on the sharks at that place and it sank. So I say that there is no, this is all just circumspective, piecing it all together piecemeal. Maybe they just put like 2 + 2 + 2 = 6 kind of thing.
Yeah.
And they just happen to be correct.
And you get that great moment where they say, like, they're not sharks, they're something else.
Altered.
Now, why? Okay, they have one live specimen. Why would it be an issue to blow up the other 2? And I know, like, we're killing sharks. It's not on them. But Richard, right? Wouldn't, I don't know, does that make sense to you? Like, don't they have one live specimen they could leave with that and just have the other 2 flying around? Or they're trying to cover up the evidence. But they could technically kill the other 2, right? And keep the one that's alive?
Yeah, Richard probably would just prefer to take all 3. He is still like an environmentalist. He still is like pro animals. So maybe he just doesn't want to have shark blood on his hands any more than necessary. Yeah, I mean, they've got. What if they do something wrong when they're dissecting the one they've got? It's good to have a backup.
Yeah, it's true. But I like what you said, Courtney, about this is when he loses his power. Because he does. He has that scene with Lucas, where it's just really sort of antagonistic between the 2 of them. But I don't know. Lucas doesn't seem to be saying anything wrong, does he? He's doing his job, and then Richard's just stopped doing his job because of Dr. Emma Collins. What's going on there between them?
Lucas is doing his job, but in a very surly and aggressive manner towards Richard. Yes,
yeah,
sir.
but you could tell that Lucas is he's there for the mission, and his job is to complete the mission. And I kind of agree. He wasn't wrong. Like when I was watching this, I was thinking, yeah, you could just kill those other two. But because Emma's there, I think Richard wanted to save face and also hopefully try and rekindle something with her.
Yeah.
Based off of another scene, which I can't remember if it comes before or after this one, where they have an intimate moment.
That's before this. That was last week.
Yes. Okay. So they had that moment, and I think that sets up that he clearly wants to get back in her good books. There's still feelings there, which is why he doesn't want to go all Rambo on the sharks. And I think that's also why he did the whole let's threaten them instead of just bomb them straight.
Yeah.
And in his mind, I think he always felt that he was in control of every situation. So he could control Lucas, he could woo Emma. When through this chapter, you realize that he doesn't have control over anybody. Like he's floundering. He couldn't even tell that the shark was a male. Because at the very beginning, he thought it was a she. And Emma looks at it and it's like, oh, this is beautiful. It's a junior, but it's been aged. What did they do? Like, what happened to you or something? So in that one brief moment, Emma's already establishing that she's way smarter than Richard when it comes to analyzing sharks. She could tell that the shark has suffered some type of trauma, which almost has aged it. Like it's been in so much pain or whatever happened. Because this is still essentially a baby, but has gone through something. And he has to literally go to look at the organs to verify whether or not. So yeah. I think this just kind of brings him down so that when things happen in upcoming chapters, you know, it sells it even more because you realize, yeah, you came in like you were hot stuff, but you were probably the weakest out of all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It almost feels like Emma's testing him. Like, how old is it? 2 to 3? Looks older, nearly mature. She's a he. He's just correct. But if we were going by, if they were 2 to 3 years old, we saw they were born. The shark was born in Deep Blue Sea 2. And they can't have been swimming around the Mozambique Channel for 2 to 3 years, surely.
I guess so, right?
That's not a huge expanse of water.
Yeah.
For these sharks that live off great whites to go unnoticed. So maybe they just matured so much faster.
Because of the modifications, the genetic modifications of them.
I was disappointed that when they said like, oh, they happened in Achilles. I wouldn't say that Achilles that sank 3 months ago. Just like, give me some kind of a specific time frame would have been wonderful. But it turns out this film was not made for podcast analysis. God damn it.
Wait, could Lucas? Yeah, I don't know. Lucas in this scene, like, those two sharks where they were at, with that explosive that he had, he could have tagged those things, I think, from the boat while they were paying attention to Richard.
I think so, yeah.
Bonkers looking explosive thing could have lit them up, and it wouldn't have blown up Little Happy.
It might have blown a hole in the boat.
Yeah.
They're right next
from like
to
40, 50 feet away, you think?
I mean, the sharks were right next to the boat.
Yeah, they were pretty close.
Got it. Yeah, you probably don't want to risk blowing up your boat. That's not a good look.
Yeah.
For sure. But I guess this Lucas in the scene, you know, he's because I've watched the movie and I've seen his glorious spin kicks. I know he's the villain, one of the antagonists. But everything he was saying in this movie, I'm like, well, he's not wrong. He's just a surly dude trying to get his mission done by blowing up genetically modified super sharks.
That are threats to humanity.
Yeah, that will wipe out, like, because they're threats to humanity in that they'll just mess up the ocean, correct? They will go kill the great white sharks.
Like, think of our heroes. This was their plan at the end of Deep Blue Sea 1 and 2. The heroes of those films, like, we've got to kill those sharks. It's the first smart thing you've said all day.
Yeah.
They're rooting for the wrong people.
And so then Lucas is wanting to blow him up, and he's the villain.
Apparently so. In previous chapters, they've said about Richard's mentioned his boss or the person in charge who's sent on this mission. And the first time I watched this film, I thought that was eventually Lucas. That he was, because he seems like he's in charge after this scene and doesn't seem to be reporting to anybody. I don't think this is correct. I think there is somebody above Lucas who is more in charge, who I'm going to assume
Ronnie
is
Cox.
Ronnie Cox, exactly. It has to be. If